Welcome back to Season 2 of the Discount Property Investor Podcast. Our mission is to share with you what we have learned from our experience and the experience of others to help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate the Discount Property Investor way. Make sure you never miss an episode and download the Discount Property Investor app in Google Play or iTunes today. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. This is your host, David Dodge, and I'm actually joined with a good friend of mine today. His name is Gary Boomershine. Hello, Gary. How are you, buddy?
I am good, Dave. I'm super excited. I know that you and I were in Tulum, Mexico a couple weeks ago. We've been talking about this. I'm going to bring you on and pick your brain for our new podcast that I just launched, the realestateinvestor.com huddle. So
yes, I noticed
excited.
The website too, man. It's awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah, super excited about this. I'm ready to give some really good nuggets on marketing and techniques that are working today for driving more seller and buyer deal leads.
Hell
right?
yeah, we are ready, man. We are ready, Gary. So I met Gary, as he mentioned, a couple of weeks ago down in Mexico. We were attending a mastermind together. Lots of great people. Super excited about the mastermind. Definitely going to be going back. So much information was shared amongst the group. If you're not in a mastermind or you haven't been to a mastermind, we highly encourage and recommend that you look into one or join one. But the one that we were at was a smaller group of about maybe 30 people. Again, we went to Mexico, so it was really neat. And what I also liked about that mastermind was the spouses were invited. You know, they were actually encouraged to come. And most of the masterminds that I've attended in the past, they're not like that. It's not necessarily they're not encouraged, but, you know, this one they were. So it was really, really great. I got to meet Gary. I got to meet Gary's wife. We got to go to dinner one night, and we became friends. It was a great, great, great event. And again, happy to have gone and blessed to have had the chance to have met Gary and continue our friendship. So we have Gary on the show today. Gary is the founder of REI Vault, and that's reivault.com essentially, right, Gary?
Correct.
Awesome. And I've been looking into working with Gary. I've been researching his company. Another one of the guys in the mastermind that was down there, a couple of them actually have taken Gary's service and joined and are working with Gary. And Gary, you just mentioned a minute ago before we started that one of the guys, you guys are helping with 3 deals a week purchasing.
Yeah, Jeff Cohn and Clint Bartlett.
Great guys, by the way.
In fact, I was just interviewed on Jeff Cohn, his podcast. They are in Nebraska. Jeff Cohn did over 700 transactions. He's the number one real estate brokerage for Berkshire Hathaway in the entire country.
It's awesome.
These guys did over 700 transactions, and then Clint is the business partner that's buying houses. So these guys are hitters. We've been working with them a fairly short period of time, and I just heard from Jeff that he is actually buying 3 houses a week based on our team actually driving massive amounts of direct mail, calling and screening sellers, doing cold calling, and teeing them up with seller appointments, which is what REI Vault does.
Man, that is awesome. So, Gary, let's inform our audience a little bit about REI Vault. If you don't mind, let's start with maybe a little bit of background, like how you started investing in real estate and what you were doing, and then how you pivoted into REI Vault. Why did you create this service? And then, of course, tell us all the bells and whistles and all the cool things that the service does, so investors that are listening, our audience here, can understand why you have so much value to provide. And then hopefully some of these people will check you out, man. That'd be the goal here.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. I'll just really start with, we've done more direct mail than anybody in the niche, including the real estate agent and investor niche. We've done over 27 million pieces of direct mail. We're doing about 1 million pieces of direct mail right now for a fairly small group of people. We got about 250 top producing investors and agents across the country.
Man, 27 million?
We've done over 27 million. I actually think we've probably now surpassed 30 million. I haven't looked.
Right.
And then we do a massive amount of outbound text messaging and ringless voicemail. So as leads come in, they automatically get on a long-term drip right? For a no seller left behind strategy, right? Once a lead comes in, it should be worked forever.
Forever.
And
Love it.
And then an integrated phone team. So it's like having the equivalent of a 40-person expert marketing and sales team for the cost of one resource. So for less than $10 an hour, you can have our team not only manage all of your marketing, execute the marketing better than you can do. We guarantee that.
And I struggle with that, Gary. I'm going to interrupt. Man, I'm always struggling with marketing. We do a ton of it. You know, right now we're spending $14,000 to $17,000 a month on our marketing. You know, it's not a drop in the bucket by any means. And I'm always trying to figure out the next thing that I need to do. And yeah, being able to outsource that is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, our time, right, as investors, as real estate entrepreneurs, especially if we're trying not to have a job, right? Didn't we get into this business to actually be entrepreneurs, business owners, and to be have the freedom of time and money and lifestyle? And what happens is most investors get stuck in quicksand where they have to feel like they got to do everything. So they're doing $5 and $10 an hour work, like finding mailing lists and cleaning up, you know, mailing lists and trying to figure out the direct mail and setting up their phone system and doing Podio this or Investor Fuse that, right? It's like, guys, why wouldn't you just tap into a team that does it? And that so let me give you a little backstory, because it was actually at a mastermind. I was at I think I'm in probably 8 masterminds right now, but this was the Collective Genius. These are all,
man, that is a ton of masterminds.
You know, one little nugget for everybody, especially if you're fairly new: don't reinvent the wheel. Number one, I've been doing this since 2004. Don't reinvent the wheel. There's nothing new under the sun in real estate. It's go find, like you guys are doing with Dave, go find somebody that actually has already made it work, and then replicate it and do it as good as them, and then you can start making it better. So that's number one. Number two is join masterminds. You want to be with like-minded people. I cannot tell you how many I've never, you know, Collective Genius, I think it was $20,000 a year. It was a no-brainer, the amount of, I mean, I came up with this idea for doing it because I'm sitting there at a mastermind. There's 100 of us, and everybody's talking about, here's the magic postcard, here's the secret list, right? Here's the Richter list. Here's the guy to go to. That, and you got Podio, right? Right in your market, Podio. It was Joe McCall that was actually the first Podio guy that was talking about Podio. And I'm like, guys, here's all of us have the ideas. We're all non-competitive. What if? But everybody has to go and do all the work and get it all built. It's like, why don't we just build one shared team? We have one team. We'll get massive economies of scale. We'll never compete, right? We'll have our own community. We'll share what works and what doesn't, and keep it private. And so that's how it started. It started in 2013 when I came up with the idea at Collective Genius, and then it, you know, and the rest is history. We've got a lot of. I've got people that are doing. I have people that are doing $1,500 a month in marketing with us, and I've got people that are doing $30,000 to $50,000 a month. So somebody just gives us the budget. We basically will say, hey, this is what we would prescribe that we know it's going to work in your market. We set everything up. We execute it. We guarantee the lowest cost mail, which is fairly new. We've only been doing that for like 2 years. Because we're doing so much marketing, we get massive leverage against the data providers, right? I can do things that nobody could do on their own in terms of buying data. We just launched this cold calling service. So we now actually do outbound cold calling data, you know, all this skip tracing. We're actually, we skip trace, we're pulling 9 phone numbers. We actually use 3 different data providers for that. So it's not just one, we actually plug into 3 and do outbound cold calling. And so anyway, it's been pretty cool. We got 250 people. We're probably take it up to maybe 500 people around the country. It's mostly investors. I would say maybe 20% of our member base is our realtors. But how this all came together?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's back up a minute if you don't mind. You said you started in about 03 or 04, right?
Yeah. So my background, I grew up in a family real estate group. My parents had Boomershine realtors, and all of us kids were forced at literally gunpoint to get into and get our real estate license. So I just turned 50. So in 1987, I'm like still in high school.
Sure.
And studying for, I live in California, so I was a licensed agent. I actually held open houses and was like door knocking and getting listings, and that's how I paid for college. I really didn't want to go down that path. I got a computer engineering degree. I got recruited. There were two of us from UC Davis, school of about 25,000. I got recruited to work at Accenture, which is one of the top technology and management consulting firms in the world. And it was awesome. I worked 90-hour weeks. I never got to see daylight, traveled all over the world, but never saw anything, that kind of thing. And then after that, after 5 years, I got recruited, and I was in Silicon Valley, and I did 4 technology startups. One that went public and right in like the 2001 range, and I was actually on the sales side. So I moved from consulting into enterprise sales and did that for 6 years. And then, man, my wife and I were so burned out. I was traveling so much. I'd come home, the dogs would bark at me. They didn't even know who I was because I was gone so much. And so 2004, my wife and I took the plunge. And gosh, I look back, 2004, I quit May 17th of 2004 to do full-time real estate. We had a 2-month-old baby. We had a 4-year-old daughter. We had a $700,000 mortgage, and both my wife and I had left our jobs. Can you imagine, like,
we both did. Holy cow.
Did. She was a brand manager at Robert Mondavi. And so anyway, gosh, the first deal, I made every mistake except the negotiation. And we ended up making $181,000. It was a property down in Bakersfield. I screwed everything up except the way I bought it. And I got a massive discount from the lender. I was a short sell before anybody knew what that was. But I've done a couple, 400 or 500 deals. I'm in 4 different markets. I am still wholesaling. I do a ton of private lending. And I've got a team of 75 people working for me across, I've got a large team in India. I've got a large team in the Philippines. I've got people in South America. We're all distributed. And it's fun, man. It's what I'm mostly passionate about is the community that we've built where we're able to do things that nobody else can do around marketing and an integrated sales team, because at the end of the day, as a real estate investor, we just want to be in front of qualified appointments, right? The money is actually making offers to sellers.
Right.
And most investors get so stuck, like trying to do everything themselves. And they forget that their time, the value of their time is worth anywhere from $250 to $1,000 an hour, yet they're spending time doing $5 and $10 an hour work, and why they're always overwhelmed. Their businesses are going nowhere. It's like, hey, just tap into the best and get it done, right? You want appointments? Then get in front of appointments. Don't be stuck on like trying to find the fairy dust magic little list. There is no fairy dust.
Totally agree. List. Totally agree, Gary. There is no magic bullet.
Marketing is an ROI. It's a return on investment. You need to know, if you're an investor, you need to know what is my average profit per deal, and what is my cost per deal. And what's the return? It's typically, if you're a wholesaler, you're on the low side, it's 400%. You spend $1 on marketing, you make $4 in profit. Most people, if they start getting it working as a wholesaler, it's somewhere between $6 and $10, right? Spend $1, make 10. And I always tell everybody, be greedy before you're cheap, right? You want to be greedy for the upside and putting 200, 300, 400, 500,000 in your bank account. Don't be cheap on trying to save a penny here or save like an hour of your time. It's like time is right. It's like use other people's money, but nobody teaches use other people's experience, use other people's resources.
Real good point.
Use other people's, that's this whole business, right? Dave, you know this whole business is about leverage. It is a financial game. It is about leverage. And that's why we make money. But you also want to leverage people. Like
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, man. I didn't realize that you had a team of that big. I thought you had said something like around 30 or 40. I didn't realize that you said 75 people on the team.
It actually may be over 80 now. We're hiring a lot, especially on the phone team. We built a really, really good phone team. We did over 314,000 outbound seller calls this last month.
Hold on, I got to make sure I heard that right. Last month, you guys did 314,000 calls.
314,000 calls, and here's what's interesting.
Man,
here's what's interesting. A dedicated. This is most investors, especially in this market. They're like, the marketing's not working, or it's not converting really well, or the leads suck. No, the reality is there's traffic and there's conversion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Traffic is the marketing of getting the sellers to come to the drink, and conversion is getting them to close, right? But there is a phone interaction it's kissing of frogs. So here's what we have found. 45 leads should generate a deal. All right. What is a lead? The way we look at a lead is a unique seller call, or somebody that's coming into Podio, or somebody coming in off of a website. You need 45 of those on average to close one deal. Now, if you can close more than that, that's fantastic, but this is average. This is like if you're not even very good at sales.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, if you gave me 45 leads and I only closed one, I'd be pretty pissed off at myself, to be quite honest with you. Right. I mean, my average is typically 1 in 15.
Yes. So here's what we're finding. Of the 45, about 1/3 are going to be what we would call net leads. Those are going to be the viable. Those are like 45 come in. About 15, you're going to get people that say, remove me from the list. You're going to say, I'm not interested. You're going to get a lot of hang-ups, okay? But right out the gate, you're going to get about 15. About 15, so now 15, about half of those, right, those should be seller appointments. Those should be the ones that you're getting in front of. About half of them you're typically making an offer to, so that's about 7. And 1 in 7 offers should close the deal, okay? But here's the problem. Most people they're not doing the phone work. They're getting the leads and they're saying, oh, these leads aren't motivated. You need a dedicated phone team that's doing nothing but outbound dialing off of a script, right? Because 1 in 100 dials is going to generate an appointment.
It's true.
So 1 in 100. Here's the math. I can show you. In fact, I will show you for anybody that's watching the video. I will show you. I just presented this. Give me just a second here. I was presenting this earlier for a mastermind group that I'm in. Sure. All right, here we go. So 314,000, 31,000 contacts. Okay, so out of 100 dials, you get.
Man, it doesn't get closer to 1%, does it? Holy cow!
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's exactly.
There it is. So 10%, contact rate of 10%. That means you have to dial 100 phone numbers to get 10 sellers to answer.
And that's
of the 10 sellers, right?
This is great.
Of the 10 sellers, you're going to get 1.5 appointments. These are qualified leads. These are sellers that have gone through a 6 to 8 minute script, right? Mm-hmm. Good words. What are the bedrooms and bathrooms? When do they want to sell? What does it rent for? Et cetera. What's the least they'd take if they got an all cash offer and close at the date of their choosing? Good team doing it. And then the follow-up, so it's actually 1%. So 1 out of 100, the seller said, hey, I can't talk right now, but could you call me tomorrow or what have you, okay? But here's the reality. The reality is that somebody has to be doing the dialing. And one person manually dialing can dial 100 numbers a day. And if they're on an auto dialer, it's about 250, right?
Sure.
So that's the missing link. In this market, somebody needs a phone team. So we just plug it in. It's like, really as a real estate investor, don't talk to the seller. Maybe take the call live, right? Or have somebody take the call live. We have that set up for our members to have that taken care of for them. And then don't talk to a seller until it's pre-screened and qualified, right? That's
beautiful.
So for less than $4 an hour, somebody's plugging into our team to do that work for them. It's like cheaper than going to the Philippines, and our team is more trained, they're managed, because what happens is most people, you've done this, everybody's like, oh, go get a VA in the Philippines. Well, first off, okay, hiring them is easy, but now you got to train them, and then you got to manage them and keep them busy, right? That's the hard part.
Gary, that is the hardest part. And one of the things I just got from this mastermind that I attended with you, or that I met you at, was, like, it's so hard to put dashboards together. And that's really the only way to track these people, unless you really want to like truly micromanage and you use them, like have a remote PC login and you have a monitor and you're literally watching them all day. But who wants to do that? And who wants to even have that mindset of like micromanaging these people? So the only other way to do it really is to put together a dashboard. And like, yeah, Podio, you can do dashboards, but we're using a new service right now called Clipfolio, and it's expensive. It costs a ton of money, a ton of time setting it up. I got to hire developers to do it because it's above my pay grade when it comes to all the programming and the coding. having VAs is a great thing. But as you said, I'm agreeing with you. It is a challenge to get these people on the team and get them trained and keep them busy is really the biggest thing. Training them isn't hard. You can put together videos and they can always resource that library of training videos down the road if needed. But just keeping them busy and making sure that the ROI that you're getting from them is at a high level is difficult, man. I've been doing this full time for over 3 years. I hired a VA within 2 months of starting out. So I've had a VA for almost 3 years, maybe 3 at this point. And making sure that they have enough to do is that's probably the biggest challenge I face right now. Isn't marketing or running leads or getting deals or anything. It's making sure that I have a high ROI on my VAs. I had 3, I'm down to 2. And ideally, I'm kind of thinking I might have to even get rid of 1. I mean, I'm thinking, if I can, I'm going to explore this today, obviously, and you've already done a great job of explaining REI Vault. But I'm thinking maybe I get rid of one of these people, reduce my marketing, and just give it to you, man. I'm going to leverage you and your team and your people. So that's awesome.
It's great. We love this, by the way. The best member, and by the way, we're not a vendor, so it's not like you can just hire us. We're super selective. It's a membership. So, we want to make sure that we're bringing, like, you've got experience. You know how to close the leads that we're bringing to you.
Absolutely.
Right?
You don't want to get people in here that are going to essentially hire you and then not be there 2 or 3 months later, because this game is a long game.
Exactly.
We all know that.
Exactly. And so it's a process.
It takes 4 to 6 months to close a deal on average. Of course, I can go out and I can get a contract and have it sold 4 hours later. Happens every week. But on average, it's 4 to 6 months.
Yep. Absolutely. So we're looking for people that are like, hey, I've been doing marketing. I've been doing this on my own. I've had some success. I'm ready to scale it up, right? And I don't want to deal with the brain damage anymore, right? And it's like, hey, for $10 an hour, you're getting a team of the equivalent of 40. Actually, the whole idea came from Sean Terry. Sean's like, you know what, Gary? Because I said, hey, how should I charge for this? He goes, if you could manage all the marketing, and you could send out postcards and you could actually get the lowest cost guarantee, and you could provide the dashboard, and like you had a team that could come in and analyze the data and say, hey, here's exactly what we think we're going to be able to do and get for you. Here's what we recommend for your budget, right? We execute that, and then we get on the phone and actually show them the results. So we've got probably the best dashboard, cost per deal, profit per deal. It's like, hey, this is what you spent this month. This is what worked, because we're always split testing. You don't have to manage any of that. And so there's a lot of back and forth. So it's an application process. We want to make sure it's a really good fit for us and a really good fit for our member. And then we go execute. And you can scale up, you can scale down. We have people, I got a
Gary,
perfect...
let me ask you this, buddy. Let me ask you this. So obviously this is an invite only type of thing. You guys are very selective. You don't want the guy that's going to try it out. Like it's not good for either party. I get that. But if you don't mind explaining, and I know we're going a little long here, but that's fine. Explain to me the onboarding process. So like, for instance, for me, like, that I do deals, vetting me is not going to be very difficult because obviously we're friends and you know who I am. But if you didn't know who I am, like, what kind of things are you looking for to take on that customer? Because we all know taking on customers just to make some money isn't always a good thing. Like, sometimes there's going to be the opportunity cost of time wasted and having to train and all that sometimes isn't even worth our time.
Yeah, let me walk through it. It's the onboarding process. First off, people will go to reivault.com. Okay. There's a button on the top, a ton of information. We try to make it super simple. So, we want to provide you as much information of exactly what you're going to get, what it's going to look like, what success looks like. reivault.com is the place that you'll go. There's a see if you qualify. Okay. And you click on see if you qualify. It's going to ask you some questions. You're going to fill out a bit of a survey in terms of who you are, your market, what your current, do you have any experience in doing direct mail? How many deals have you closed, et cetera. We're going to you're going to schedule a live one-on-one call. It's not with somebody in the Philippines. It's actually with a gal by the name of Julia Jordan, who's bought and sold about 250 houses herself. She's our success manager to make sure this is a good fit. There's no sales. You're not going to feel like you're being sold anything. It's like, hey, here's how it works. Let's get some more information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And then if there's a fit, you sign up. 7 days is the process. So from day 1 to day 7, we're getting everything set up. You're going to fill out a questionnaire. We're going to go build what we call a list DNA. report, which is we have 2 proprietary mailing lists that are incredible. One's called the Invisible List. It's mostly inherited properties. Invisible, one of our members titled it because they're like, this is really invisible to my competition, the way we pull the list.
I love that.
And then we have what's called the Shipwreck List. This is the list that's more code violations, divorce, recently deceased, some foreclosures. And then we run that to get 75%, some places 70% combined loan to value. So we're able to get 2 lists, plus maybe you've got the Richter list or you got your own mailing list. We're going to put together a plan during the 7 days of exactly like what we would recommend in your market that's going to get the best results. We're going to typically come in with and split test a couple of things, right? And then we're going to launch. Typically, we drop mail either Thursday or Friday. By the way, those are the 2 magic days. I know that you do that, Dave. You and I chatted about that. But that came up from us because we tested every day to see what was the highest day on response rate. And so if anybody's doing Thursday and Friday, they found that out because of us. We executed. So about 3 to 4 days later, leads are coming in. Right? And leads are coming in. They're going right over to our phone team for phone follow-up. So any hang-ups, they might be getting text message. So we set all that up. And there's about 2.5 hours of training. By the way, we do set up a Podio system for you.
So that was my next question. I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second, Gary. So I'm already in Podio. So
Great.
For me and you to connect and get this ball rolling, because I'm going to hire you, tell you right now, I want to work with you. So once we hop off this podcast, let's get the ball rolling. But I'm in Podio. So if I didn't have to have a second or a third CRM, that would be phenomenal. So you guys can essentially plug in to what I'm already doing and using.
Absolutely.
Right?
And in fact, if you don't have Podio, we are the largest Podio user in the world across all niches.
I think you told me that at dinner one night, man. That's crazy.
So we just, a lot of the performance issues that anybody experienced the last couple of months was because of us. We put over 2 million transactions through Podio. And so we're very close to their product management, their technology team. We have, what do we have? Like 27,000 Globy flows. 27,000. Wow. I can show you the number right now.
I think I have 250 and I thought I was crazy.
Yeah. So we're really good at it. We provide the whole CEO deal dashboard. We actually hired somebody in Bangalore who works for Oracle who actually takes the data, and we're able to like very quickly be able to see the results. Hey, here's exactly what you mailed. I got a lot of feedback from some of our members and guys like Sean Terry. We build a scorecard for you. So we also have the scorecard capability. So it's like, hey, this is how many leads should come in. This is number of offers that you should make on a weekly and daily basis. We provide all that stuff back. If you have your own Podio, let's say you're using it. Let's say you've custom built. We have this a lot. There's some discussion that we have. One is throw your stuff away and use the best. We already manage it for you. Why are you even dinking around with Podio? Or maybe you're really good at Podio and you got something that works, then we'll just integrate the 2 together. So our team is probably better to do that for you. So typically the marketing, we're going to drive the leads into our system. We have an integrated phone. I mean, you don't have to worry about Mojo Dialer. We actually have a better tool. It's called 59. That's the Ferrari. The Mojo Dialer is like the tricycle. I could tell you.
I think you were telling me about that as well too.
I was. 59's a publicly traded company. It's more expensive. We absorb all the cost because we've got so many licenses. So the leads come into Podio and get pushed right over into the auto dialer. And then, like hang-ups. Imagine if you're doing direct mail, they're going to go out into a hang-up process where they get text messaged instantaneously to the seller. Right? Then pushed over to a phone team who's going to call them and say, hey, we just missed a call from you. Were you calling about a note you received in the mail or a property you were considering to sell? And taking them through the full script and converting those into a qualified appointment, just like I showed you on the numbers. So that's all integrated, and you don't have to worry about any of that. And we train you on Podio. You can use it. If you've got your own Podio system, we can then just push. We're integrating the 2, which means we're pushing leads over to your system, and then your system is going to be pushing information back. But we've got a lot of people that will sign up. There's no long-term commitment. You're going to commit to 90 days.
Yeah, at a minimum. Really. I mean, I would think that would be a no-brainer, though.
Yeah, we just started with 90 days. And a lot of people, it's like, hey, why don't we run these in parallel? Why don't we see, somebody will tell us their cost per deal is 5,000. We're like, in your market, like I did this for Clint. Clint was telling me that they were like $4,800 a deal, and they were happy with that. And I said, I think in your market, we're going to cut that at least in half. So the cost per deal in your market is going to be like, I think probably closer to $1,200 because we know that market. I know exactly what's going to mail out. I know precisely, I know pretty darn close what the response rate's going to be, and then how many of those leads are going to turn into good leads, viable leads that are going to turn into appointments. They're going to turn into contracts. And so yeah, but
I love it, man. That sounds awesome. All the above. So at this point, we're doing everything ourselves, and I'm wearing a lot of hats, man. It can be very stressful. And you had mentioned earlier, everybody gets into real estate to have freedom. And what often happens is people have none of it. They jump in, they're like, oh, it's great to be an entrepreneur. And I'm not trying to sound pessimistic or negative by any means, because you couldn't hire me at any 9-to-5 job. It won't happen. I would never, ever go back. However, there are those days where I'm working 12, 14 hours grinding, but I also enjoy what I'm doing. So my question, though, is whenever somebody signs up to work with you and your team at REI Vault, at reivault.com, by the way, you guys are going to do the marketing. It sounds like you guys are doing cold calling, text messaging, maybe some RVMs, whatever it is, mailers. And so how does it work for me as the client, essentially, or the investor? Like, am I just running appointments? Am I in charge of following up on those people after the appointment? Because essentially at that point, they now know me. Or does your team do it, or is there a mix? That's the question that I have.
Yeah, it's a really great
make
question.
That a 30-second long.
This is the onboarding process, because everybody's going to be a little different. We've got people. I've got somebody who's a full-time airline pilot. They do this in their part-time, in their underwear, and so really what they want to do is they really want to just be in front of appointments.
Right.
You've got somebody else that's got a full sales team, like large sales team. I'll give another example. It's constantly changing. I just interviewed Javier, who's North Carolina. Javier, I always butcher his name, Hanojo. He basically had 32 cents in his bank account at the beginning of 2018. He had to borrow money from his kids. And today, we launched him in January of 2018. Today, he started with a couple $1,000 marketing budget. He actually flipped some houses, and in early 2018, he put $3,000 into marketing. He's currently in 5 markets. He's got a massive team, 5 different markets. I think he said he closed 40 deals last year. I think 44 deals. These are fix and flip. And he's upped his marketing. He's now at $30,000 a month in marketing. Wow. And so it's changing. And one of the things what he does, he comes in and he goes, you guys are experts, tell me what to do. And it's like, and then we do it for him. Everyone's a little different. So typically what will happen is we're gonna find out your business. Do you have a team? And
we do.
And we're gonna come in and we're gonna say, here's what we would recommend to get started. And then in 45 days, we're going to jump on a call. We're going to do a formal account review. We're going to basically look at the results. We're going to look at the number of deals you've closed and the ROI and what's working and maybe what's not and what we need to tweak. And then our team will go do that. And then we'll get back on the phone again, typically another 90 days. And we proactively will reach out. If you need any help, this is really like the extension of your marketing and sales team. We're not sitting in your office, right? But we become part of your team.
Absolutely.
Right. And you own it, right? It's your marketing plan. It just happens that we're doing it for you, and we're going to be better at it. And then we're constantly tweaking. So we have some people that'll have their sale. They've got 2 or 3 people on their sales team, and they want to answer the calls live. We would recommend, hey, most of the calls will come in between 5 and 9 o'clock at night. So if you don't have somebody answering those calls live, we should forward those numbers and set up the live phone team for you, and let us do that for you, because we basically put them on the right script, right? Some people use Pat Live. It's like, you know what, unless Pat Live has the right script, it can actually be garbage, right?
I totally agree.
So we've
used them in the past for a long time.
Yeah, Call Porter's awesome. So we could set up Call Porter. And then And then let our team do all the kissing of frogs. So all the crappy leads. By the way, people that say they're not interested, those are awesome leads. They just take 4 months to age. So our
100%.
system, right? So
Man, I had a call. I ran 2 appointments this morning, and in between 2 appointments, I was driving from one to the next. A lady called me that I had made an offer on a house. They owed 125 grand to the bank, and I offered 50, and that was 4 months ago. And she called me back today and said, "Can you send me that offer again? We're working with the short sale person now. If we can make this work, we'll sell it to you at that." And I was like,
"Oh my gosh, let me just tell you what we do." So click of a button in our system. It was an offer made, right? But it didn't close. And so our system is going to push follow-up letters, handwritten follow-up letters that say, "Hey, we recently spoke about buying your property, not sure at 123 Main Street, not sure if your other options have worked out," but 8 of those are going to go out, 1 per month, plus text messages and ringless voicemail. And also in 30 days, it's going to push it right back to our phone team that's actually going to get it on the phone
back,
and call
right,
them and say, "Hey, we've recently sent you, a follow-up letter, and Dave Dodge asked for us to follow up. Have you thought any more about our offer? Have any of your other options worked out?" And we work to like re-engage with them, right? That's where the money is. I want to show. I know if you're following along on the video, I'm going to give you a couple resources. I think this would be helpful. This was actually we did this for our members because a lot of real estate investors, they get stuck again working on the wrong stuff, right? You want to work on the money.
I'm guilty of it. I'll be the first to say it out loud.
So
publicly on the podcast, I'm guilty of it. I have a problem with wanting to know what's going on with everything all the time, but it's because I don't have a solid team in place. Always, it kind of works sometimes. Sometimes it needs help. It needs extra work. So I'm diving in. But I get it, man. I get it.
So here's a tool. Everybody, if you don't know what your time is worth and the value of like bringing in resources below you, this is the tool for you. reivault.com/your-time ROI. And what you do is you plug in the amount of profit that you either put into your bank account last year or you plan on putting into your bank account this year, and then how many hours a week do you work in this business? And that's going to give you the value of your time. And here's the secret. And by the way, I didn't make this up. This actually came from Sean Terry and Justin Colby. Mm-hmm. If you can get somebody to do it for less than that, that's leverage.
You're absolutely right.
That's actually how you build a real business, right? So let's say $500,000 is the profit, 40 hours a week is what you worked. Right? There's 50 weeks. We assume that people take at least 2 weeks of vacation. That means your time is worth $250 an hour. So what we take it a step further. It's like, hey, what function are you planning on hiring and replacing yourself with? So inside sales would be that phone, kissing a frog, somebody that dials relentlessly all day long. So let's say you're spending 12 hours a week doing nothing but that. And instead, you could go from 12 hours to 2 hours, assuming that maybe you're managing somebody yourself, right? And you're paying them $10 an hour, and they're going to do it 40 hours a week. This will say, hey, you just saved 500 hours of your precious time to go do other things, raise money, or go on vacation. The profit of that resource is $105,000 over the year, and your ROI on your time is 6.25, which means 625% ROI. Right? Wow. We talk about interest rates of like paying hard money or whatever, of getting like 8 or 10 or 12%. This is 625%
right.
So that's one. The second one that I think would be really helpful. Again, we built all of this stuff because people asked for it. But reivault.com/brochure. You can put these into the call notes as well, Dave.
This is actually really, really great, guys. reivault.com/brochure. Check this out. This is really, really cool.
So basically, hey, you need more leads in a business that runs without you. We have the solution, a power of 40-person team without having to hire or manage. The important thing is managing. Everybody forgets that you can hire VAs, you have to manage them. So if you scroll down, there's a funnel. I think this again, I didn't invent this, but if you're going after off-market deals, which means you're going direct to the seller, you got to do all of these things right. in order to make it work. And so if somebody says, oh, I don't have the right list or my leads suck, the reason is that something in your process is not working. So here's the funnel. First off, you got to do marketing, which is direct mail, postcards, letters, the right copy, right? Pay-per-click. If you're doing Facebook,
I'm going to interrupt for a second again here, Gary. I apologize, man. I cannot hold back. Are you all doing pay-per-click for your clients as well, or
we're
no?
not? We have a strategic partner that we plug people right into.
Okay, cool. I was just curious because I have one, and I mean, it works. It gets leads. It's expensive though, and it's like
pay-per-click has gotten extremely competitive.
By the way, I'm in a cheap ass market, man. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah. Here's the other thing.
I can't even imagine people in San Francisco or Miami or New Jersey.
Yeah, Facebook, by the way, Facebook is great for buyers. I don't know anybody in the country that's really cracked the code on Facebook for sellers.
No, we tried it. It was terrible for us.
They're not there. These are older. The houses that we're buying are typically older sellers.
Right.
So we got to get the marketing, then you got to get the fulfillment, right? That's picking the mail house, the right mailing list, cleaning it up. We call it the nasty 19, getting rid of the duplicates. It's got to be mail ready. Right? Then you got to make sure that you're doing weekly drops every single week, because if it's not consistent, your business is going from start, stop. Then you got to deal with all the systems of CallRail or Slide Broadcast or TLO or whatever.
Use all of them, man. I use every one of those.
Then you got the inbound seller lead. So when the seller calls, those calls need to be answered live.
They do.
Right? That's
so
100%. But if they're going to voicemail, you need to have the right recording or the right website. Then there's research and comparables that needs to get done. You got outbound. This is the missing link, by the way. This is where probably people are really missing the money. The 80% of the profits come from between 5 and 12 touch points with the seller.
I love those. The whole sales statistic chart.
Yep.
One of my favorite diagrams. You're right.
Classic. It's classic
7
selling.
and 12, man.
Yeah. And less than 10% of all investors follow up more than twice. And the reason is they're doing everything. So most people.
You're right. You're doing all of that stuff.
All the stuff. And this is all $10 an hour. The follow-up of text messaging and phone calls, right? Doing that is actually $100 an hour work.
I believe it.
Right?
I believe it.
In reality. But really, the $1,000 and $10,000 an hour work, where all investors should be preciously focused on their time, is being in front of sellers, making offers, building rapport, getting a yes, negotiating on price and terms, right? And finding better buyers, raising money, building their team, their A team, right? Maybe it's sales acquisition managers, maybe going into a new market. So this is what we plug in, right? And I always ask, it's like, where are you spending your time? They're like, I'm spending all my time here and not even having any time. It's like, we'll plug in for $10 an hour. You're going to have us do all of this. And the reason is that I can actually, I have a staff of 40, but I can share that with a whole bunch of people to do it right?
Oh, absolutely. I get it, man. It makes perfect sense.
So hopefully those two things, those resources will be helpful for your audience.
Absolutely.
Dave.
Send me over those if you don't mind. We'll throw them in the show notes.
Yep.
Gary, I want to wrap this up because I don't want to make the episode too long. However, I want to sincerely thank you, A, for coming on, B, for sharing some of this awesome knowledge with our audience. And again, guys, if you are interested in checking out Gary, go to reivault.com. It looks awesome. One final question before we wrap up, Gary. You said that the minimum that somebody would that you would essentially want, or your minimum, is $1,500 a month. So this is the question that I have. I've never been one for minimums. You know that about me.
Yeah.
What do you recommend somebody that's coming to you that you know is not going to leave in 3 or 4 or 5 months? They're going to be with you for the long haul because they're going to be able to leverage all your team and all that good stuff. What's a good starting marketing budget? And I guess that's a kind of a loaded question because every city is going to be a little different. But what do you like to see?
Yeah.
So that way you can provide the best results. Because obviously $1,500 to a lot of people, that may sound like a ton of money. I mean, I'm spending that in 3 days sometimes, so it's like
great thing. Great question. So the type of people that would be really good for us, and then I'll tell you what the budget is, are people that are ready to scale their business, their real business, right? Not their job or the part-time, like testing it out. If you got a toe in the water, you're trying to make real estate work. We're not, make it work for yourself first, and then when you're ready to scale, come to us. We'll make it scale for you. We're, our team, if you interact with us, you send us an email, we're on it within 30 minutes. That's our service level agreement.
Awesome.
It's like there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of accountability to get it right. Our team likes the success and they hate it when they see somebody that doesn't have the results. Most of the results are because they're not actually making offers to these sellers. The budget, the marketing budget, it's going to vary by market. So
sure.
If you're in
I knew it would.
Yeah, if you're in Phoenix, if you're in Dallas, if you're in Denver, if you're in California, the cost per deal is going to be higher. So what we're going to tell everybody is, hey, it's really around your cost per deal and your profit per deal. So if you're in St. Louis, we're going to recommend, you should be able to do a deal somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500. You drop $1,000 to $1,500. Maybe if your sales team isn't that good, maybe it's $1,800, right, per deal.
It's about right. Yeah.
Right, that's going to give you enough calls to generate enough good leads to get you enough offers, right? Enough FaceTime to make an offer. A lot of the markets are going to be more like $2,500 a month. I think the average right now for us is a $3,600 a month spend, and I would say 20% of our member base are like $20,000 and higher. So, and by the way, you can pause. People drop an email saying, "Hey, can you pause my marketing? I got too many leads." That's, by the way, that's
if that happens to me, that's gonna be amazing. I can't wait for that.
I have Jennifer and Tyler. She was a former Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, and they actually paused it because they had too many leads. They're like,
I need that.
That's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
So, scaling up, scaling down, it's like we're really, really helpful. But we want to make sure that, you're teed up to be successful and we're teed up to be successful, because we don't want any, the results that we've had to date has been incredible. We love it when we've got newer people that they've closed some deals, but they're teachable and coachable, and then we can come in here and do amazing things. So yeah, reivault.com and check us out if you think there's a fit. If not, use some of the tools. We built them for our members and also for, as part of our give back to the niche.
Hell yeah. Before we end, Gary, you also have a podcast. Let's talk about that just real quick.
Yeah. So I just launched recently realestateinvestor.com. Huddle is a podcast. You can go out to realestateinvestor.com.
What a great domain name, man. You crushed it with that one.
Yeah, so the business I own, realestateinvestor.com, that's actually the name of the business. But there's more than just REI Vault. We have a traction coaching program where we're helping doing one-on-one accountability coaching. This is a great book, by the way. If you haven't,
I love that book.
We're huge, like the whole scorecard. I'll give you one last thing, reivault.com/lead calculator. It'll actually build the scorecard for you. So if you have any question of what your numbers should be in your local market, you can literally fill that out. If you want to make $1 million, it'll tell you exactly what your marketing budget should be.
What you got to do. Right.
What you got to do. So,
man, that is awesome. Gary, thank you so much again for coming on. I know that you're going to provide tremendous value to our audience, and I'm ready to get going with you guys. So after we hang up on this one, let's talk a little bit more about what it's going to take to get me implemented, and hopefully we can get that ball rolling today or tomorrow as soon as possible. Guys, check out reivault.com. Gary's company is awesome. Essentially, you are going to be able to leverage his team of 40 to 70 people and eliminate all these other jobs, like I was just saying, that I'm constantly kind of struggling with. You as a real estate investor, you have to wear 20 hats. And, we got virtual assistants. I got a closing coordinator. I got buyers. I got a dispo person. I look at it like I have a pretty big team, but I'm still involved with every one of those processes every single day. So this is going to be a game changer for me, Gary. I'm excited. Guys, check it out. reivault.com. We will connect with you guys next time. Thanks for listening. We'll see you later. Gary, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, see y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, please visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you in advance for your support, and remember, you make your money when you buy, and you get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.